So when you go to do a refinance or get an appraisal, they don't base the value of the asset on what's around them like you do when you buy your personal home. They base it on the cash flow of the business. Well, because of what I do, I can essentially double the revenue of what that building would normally do. And banks are then forced to listen to the appraiser who says, well, this is the business that's going on in this commercial property. So as one simple example, I bought an 8-unit last year for 1.15 million. And today, because of my business that's in there, the appraisal, when I did my refinance, appraised it at 1.88 million.
Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Show, where we interview real estate investing professionals from coast to coast, as well as the service providers that serve the real estate investing industry. Our goal is simple: share what's working now to help you improve and scale your business to the next level and meet the pros that can help you get there. Real Estate Pros is powered by Investor Fuel, America's leader in helping real estate investors and professionals build the business you need to live the life you've always dreamed of. Let's start today's show. Property insurance for real estate investors doesn't have to be difficult, but it does need to be there to protect you when you need it. MyInvestorInsurance.com not only provides insurance at 15 to 30% cheaper than traditional agencies, it's built specifically for real estate investors like you. You can set up an account in about 2 minutes, get quotes on properties, turn on and turn off insurance for your fix and flip or rental properties in around 2 minutes without having to talk to anyone directly, all through our portal. There's no better way or faster way to make sure you've got the coverage you need to protect you, and no more lengthy policies either. Once you're set up, you're billed monthly and prorated by the day for however long your policy is active. It's powered by MSI, the third largest independent MGA, with 1.5 million customers and more than $1 billion in cumulative premiums written. Get set up today in about 2 minutes at myinvestorinsurance.com/fuel.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Real Estate Pros Podcast. I am your host, Q Edmonds. Sure, y'all probably can know what I'm gonna say. I'm excited. Most of the time, I'm always excited, and I'm excited again to be here today. Excited about my guest. I'm gonna give you 2 words that I know we all like: cash flow. I think we love that word, cash flow. And this gentleman has found a way to make cash flow. And I'm hoping that we can get the chance and the privilege for him to tell us a little bit about it, tell us a little secret to his sauce. He's naturally progressed within what he does, crossing different assets classes, and so asset classes. And I'm super excited to introduce you guys to Mr. Dalton Riggins. Mr. Dalton, how you doing today, sir?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Man, thank you for being here, man. Thank you for just the opportunity, man, to talk to you, for you to give us things from your perspectives, from your lens. And I'll be honest, man, I kind of want to dive right in and not waste any time. So if you could, man, tell us about how you maybe a little bit about how you got started. Tell us what your main focus is these days, and also tell us what markets you're operating in, Dalton.
Sure. So I'm based here in St. Louis, Missouri, and going back about 5 years, I had a good job. I was making 6 figures, had a lot of autonomy. It was a great job. But like a lot of people, you want a little bit more, felt like you were kind of hitting a ceiling at the company, and wasn't exactly getting along with my boss. And so started looking for other opportunities, and I didn't know where it was going to take me. I looked at absentee, owner franchise models, a bunch of different things. And I had a great mentor who was getting the mobile home park space at the time. So I was actually looking for like conferences and conventions and things to learn more about that. And I ended up stumbling across a YouTube video that talked about this concept called Airbnb arbitrage. And, before anyone jumps to any conclusions, let me just say this was 5 years ago. Airbnb arbitrage has certainly become more well-known now, but still a lot of people haven't heard of it. And really what the concept is you take a space that you don't necessarily own. For example, you could go to a local mom and pop landlord, or you could potentially, even if you're like me and get lucky, go to a big luxury complex, and you can rent apartments, get the lease, and then turn around with permission and re-rent the space out on platforms like Airbnb and Vrbo and so forth. And so, you're just making the money on the margin, right? If I rent for 1,000 and I rent it on Airbnb for 2,000, then minus my utilities, I might make.
Stop living on an island and join the #1 mastermind in America for professional real estate investors. Investor Fuel is a community of hundreds of the nation's top investors working together to build stronger businesses and better lives. In addition to the amazing community of real estate investors acting as a board of advisors for one another, Investor Fuel members have access to 100% funding on purchase and repairs for our members only, a health insurance program, and benefits and discounts that more than pays for the membership of most of our members, meaning it's actually costing you money to not be a member of Investor Fuel. If you're looking to scale your business and build a business that allows you to live the life of your dreams, please visit investorfuel.com today and book a call with our team.
$700-800 a door, something like that, right? And what was so attractive to me about it was I was like a lot of new investors. I didn't really have much money, not any real money to invest, and I didn't know what I was doing or where to go. So what I loved about the concept in Airbnb arbitrage was there was a super, super low barrier to entry. There's no down payment. There's no real credit check or background or, large amounts of money needed. And so I was able to secure with just a $500 deposit and maybe a couple grand in furniture. I was able to secure, in my mind, a paper asset of $1,000 a month cash flow. And so to kind of speed it up, I tested it for a couple months, went well, ended up pitching a luxury complex, got 5 apartments, started making like $6,000 a month. And then while I was still, in my 6-figure job, so, it didn't take very long for that to snowball. I did some other creative things. I was able to negotiate upfront concessions where I didn't pay 2 months of rent. So by month 3 of this quote unquote new business, I was already break even and cash flow positive. So that was awesome. And so I scaled that to about 14 doors using the arbitrage model, and then had a decision to make. I could either keep trying to do both, or I could step out of my 6-figure job and really focus everything in my new business, which is what I ended up doing. That's what happens when you and your boss don't get along. And so scaled that a little more, brought in more systems, brought in some staff so I could get my time back. My biggest, for me, the biggest thing that I wanted to accomplish was not necessarily being rich, but I wanted my time back. I didn't want to trade my time for money. I had a great mentor who taught me not to do that. And so that was what I built out, was a system to get my life back for my son and my family. And then eventually, after a couple of years, came to a point of, all right, this is a little bit of a gravy train. At some point, regulation, something's going to come in here, oversaturation, like something's going to happen. I need to, and if and when that does, what do I really have? And the truth was, I have a system. I have a process that I own. I don't have an asset, And so I wanted to start owning the asset. I wanted to start controlling the asset that I was making money off of, in this case, real estate. And so I started just leveraging that money, that income that I had created, and started buying assets. I now own a 7, 8, 9 unit and a couple just single families. And so I've got about 26 or so doors in total. I still have some arbitrage and some other doors that I manage, and so do well. Done some flips, and even started getting into, now that I've had some experience doing flips, I've even gotten into just lending in some circles where I've learned I can make the same money that I would make doing a flip without having to deal with the project whatsoever. And so that's been really a really cool journey as well. So in St. Louis, and that's the only place I invest. I just invest where I live. And, I still have a couple of those different operations, but that's kind of been the quicker version of my story and how I've gotten here today. And I guess one other quick thing I'll add to that is there have been several things that have been super powerful, but I think to me, one of the coolest, most powerful things is combining that first business, which what I really do is I try not to strictly do short term. Anyone who's done Airbnbs can tell you it eventually becomes a little bit of a headache. So I do what's called midterm. In St. Louis, we
Mm.
have a couple great big hospitals. They do a bunch of travel nurse contracts.
If you're looking for consistent, high-quality leads, look no further than Investor Machine. Investor Machine isn't just another agency. It's the most sophisticated, data-driven lead generation company on the planet for real estate investors, and serves the role of being not just a lead generator for your business, but a marketing partner that is helping you achieve your goals along the way. Go to investormachine.com to learn more and schedule a call with our team today.
And they'll come in town for 13 weeks, and they're the best tenants. And they don't have anywhere to go. They can't get they don't want to live in a hotel, and they can't get an apartment. So I'm perfect for them. And so over like 80% of my business is driven by travel nurses and midterm rentals, stays over 30 days. And what's been so powerful about that is, for those that understand how the refinance process works in real estate, when you have a multifamily that's 5 units or bigger, it's considered a commercial property. So when you go to do a refinance or get an appraisal, they don't base the value of the asset on what's around them like you do when you buy your personal home. They base it on the cash flow of the business. Well, because of what I do, I can essentially double the revenue of what that building would normally do. And banks are then forced to listen to the appraiser who says, well, this is the business that's going on in this commercial property. So as one simple example, I bought an 8-unit last year for 1.15 million. And today, because of my business that's in there, the appraisal, when I did my refinance, appraised it at 1.88 million. So it's been a cool journey.
Y'all opened up saying 2 words: cash flow. This gentleman knows how to make cash flow, man. Thank you so much, man, for taking us through that journey. Thank you for just just letting us know just a little bit of secret of your sauce. I'm sure you probably held a lot back, but thank you so much, man. I know that is going to get our viewers get their wheels turning and wheels thinking. So, man, thank you so much for that. Thank you for letting us into your success. What I like to do when I have conversations like this, we show the people the success, but I also want to show people the process and the journey to success as well, right? Because there's moments when things get real, right? There's moments when deals go sideways, moments when you have to pivot fast. And Mr. Dalton, I was wondering if you could share maybe one moment like that, again, because we have people listening from all different walks. And maybe somebody may be stuck. Maybe somebody is facing something like, man, how do I get over this? I would just love for you to maybe give them a story so they know, hey, it's not always just easy peasy as it goes forward,
Oh, I got stories. So I essentially have kind of 3 different businesses with all kind of married within each other. And so, on the Airbnb side, right? If somebody goes that route, short-term, midterm rentals, whatever, you're going to eventually come across issues with tenants, especially with short-term rentals. You might come across parties. And the short answer there is you're just going to have to learn trial by fire. There's things I could give you a laundry list of put this in your house rules and do this and do that. But, people are just going to be poo-pooey sometimes, right? They're going to be difficult to deal with. So that's part of life. As far as like something a little more traditional with like doing a flip, for example, you can do all the due diligence in the world. Inevitably you crack a wall open and you find things that just were not possible beforehand. And so classic cliche advice would just be, don't spread yourself thin. And that goes for your money too. If your budget is 20 grand and you've got 20 grand, you might consider not doing the deal or bringing in on a partner, because I can almost guarantee you're going to go above 20 grand. Right. I had a flip that we did that was supposed to be a $20,000 renovation, and it turned into a $116,000 renovation. And a big part of that was we got into the walls and we had foundation issues in the basement. So now you tack on 60, whatever grand there. What you don't know and you learn is when you have to redo foundation walls, you got to take all the plumbing off the walls, and you can't just put it back up. So now you got to pretty much do all new plumbing.
If you're a new or newer real estate investor looking to launch or grow your real estate investing business, please check out Investor Fuel Club. It's a coaching community, but unlike anything you've ever seen before. And you can actually partner with members of our mastermind from coast to coast on deals right in your market. There's no better opportunity to build a consistent business than to literally partner with pros to help you avoid costly mistakes, avoid the need for capital to do deals, and help you eliminate your fears as you're starting your business. Learn more about Investor Fuel Club at investorfuel.com/club.
When you do that, I mean, it's a domino effect sometimes. And I don't say that to hopefully scare anyone away. But, it's the reality of what can happen. And depending on how you buy, foreclosures, there's a lot more risk, but there's also a lot more upside, right? And so picking your battles and understanding, what are your risk reward ratios, and, you've got to be comfortable with that. Don't hold me to this quote. I think it was a Warren Buffett quote, but I think his rule number one of investing is don't lose money, right? Super simple. Don't put yourself in a position where you're going to lose money. And more importantly, value your time. I had a handful of deals a couple of years ago where I could have done the flip, let's say, and I could have made 30 grand, right? And what I looked at so simply, but so many people have told me this is amazing advice, is I said, okay, I think I'm going to make 30 grand on this flip. The flip's probably going to take me 5 months, right? To be conservative. Maybe it takes 3.5, but let's call it 5 months. So if it's going to take me 5 months, I'm making 6 grand a month. And in those 6 months, until I get my 30 grand profit, I'm also out 80 grand, whatever the amount is, right? Out of pocket. Conversely, if I buy it the right way, if I'm, let's, in this case, doing a foreclosure, I might be able to what I call wholetail it, where I do own it, but I can just go sell it to another investor for maybe a 10 grand profit, but I could do that this month. Yeah. And so in scenario A, I made 6 grand a month. In scenario B, I made 10 grand a month. And now I have not only the 10 grand, but I still have the 80 grand to go deploy or whatever I was going to be out of pocket, right? And so the time value of money became a concept that I really grabbed onto to say, my time is the most valuable thing I have. So how do I get the most money for it? And sometimes it's actually not doing the big project. It's finding a different avenue to make money, in that same space. And so there's so many ways that you can make money in real estate. And depending on time, I'm happy to mention a few others, but I think, the advice, since I've kind of gone off on a tangent here, the advice would just be, to value your time and understand the traditional pitfalls, understand the risk reward of what you're willing and comfortable to do. And honestly, I wouldn't be where I am today if I wouldn't have done some of my first deals with a partner, with a friend, somebody that knew a little bit more than me. Maybe I had the money, but they had the expertise. Something like that is a great way to get your feet wet so that you can eventually feel confident to take down your first deal on your own.
Yeah. Listen, Dalton, man, I love it. I'm with you. My mentor taught me, and it's really changed my psychology, is my time is what I have to leverage. That's what I've been leveraging all of my working life is my time. I will go to work, get paid once. He was like, no, we want to work once, get paid. And so you're absolutely right. Getting your time back, that's our most precious commodity that we have is our time. So thank you for highlighting that. I 100% agree. Let me ask you this. What are you most focused on or scaling next? What's the next real goal for you, Mr. Dalton?
So most recent projects have been getting more into lending myself. I use a few different tools in terms of how I've kind of built my personal net worth. One of them that I choose, I'm not saying it's for everybody, but one of them that I choose is permanent life insurance or whole life cash value life insurance. And I've leveraged that. again, I'm always happy to explain it, but it certainly takes some time. But it's a great vehicle for certain people if they can build it over time, where you can really have your dollar working in two places at once. And what I've done using that and building my own personal assets and cash flow machine through my first business is I've kind of put myself in a position to, for some people, be their bank. I think this sounds terrible, but I just think banks, along with a few other industries in our country, are some of the biggest scams on the planet. I always tell this joke to people when I have this conversation. I say, if I go into a bank and I deposit $1,000 and they're going to pay me 1%, right? And then you go in line behind me and you take out a loan for $1,000 and you're paying 10%, how much is the bank making? And the common sense answer that people say is, well, they're making 9%. The answer is wrong. They're making 100% because it's not their money, right?
Come on.
So, in a crooked, twisted way, I think being a bank is great because you can just make money. And in my case with real estate, maybe not deal with the project headaches and stuff like that. And so I've kind of put myself in a circle of other investors around the country that are active flippers, whatever they might be doing with their projects, people that get into sub two, all these different things. And for one reason or the other, whether they're spread too thin, maybe their credit sucks, whatever, you can get very attractive returns. And so I've just kind of been building and positioning myself to be in a place where, you know what, I don't want to go play with rusty pipes today. I'd rather just invest in someone who's going to go play with rusty pipes, and I'll make a little bit and I'll have my peace of mind. So that's kind of been my more recent, along with finishing up some projects. I just bought a 9-unit a couple of months ago. And so I've been finishing that up, and it's been fun.
I love it, man. That bank analogy is gold, man. Thank you for sharing that. That messes with a lot of us. You probably a lot of us is like, going it if that ain't the truth. And then you just
Right.
your mind just keep going and going. And you're just like, wait a minute, oh God. So no, that's a great, beautiful analogy, man. Congratulations on just buying the 9 units, man. I think I want to talk a little bit about relationships, man. You mentioned relationships in the network a little bit, but a lot of people, the different parts of their journey, and I think they benefit hearing about relationships. So when it comes to building relationships and growing your network, what's made the biggest difference for you?
I mean, I think you surround yourself, with people that you want to be like. I've kind of two reference points on this. One is that I think it was Tony Robbins said, "You are who you surround yourself with." Right? You are your 5 closest friends. Unfortunately, that's one thing that is fortunate as I am to be where I'm at. I'm kind of a transplant in my city and working from home for myself. It doesn't necessarily on a daily basis put me in the circle that I want to be in. But for a long time, previous company I used to work with, it was the most powerful thing was the relationships you had with those around you, growth mindset individuals, people that are always wanting to better themselves. And the second one was in that same vein is that you kind of want 3 relationships at all times that are very intentional. And that is the person, above you that's mentoring you, right? That you can go to and lean on. You want someone who's on your level, a peer, that you might go back and forth. Maybe there's some healthy competition there, but there's that camaraderie and we're going through this thing together. And ideally, maybe not when you're brand new, but eventually what is also great is having someone that you can kind of mentor. It doesn't mean they call you their mentor. It doesn't mean that, it's anything that you're making money off. It just simply is something where hopefully you're the type of person that you like to give back. And especially if someone's given into you, that you return in kind, to the world, call it karma, call it whatever you want. But I can also tell you as a coach, I coach high school wrestling for fun. That was one of the things I wanted to do once I got my time back, was just do something like that. And I can tell you that I became a better wrestler, not because I get to beat up high school kids now, but because I coach, because I teach the techniques of how to do something. And what I found in other jobs too is that when you just do it, you can kind of explain it, but when you're required to teach it to somebody, especially when you care, it takes on a whole other level of your own personal understanding of how am I supposed to be doing X, Y, Z, right? And so I think those concepts are super important of surround yourself with the people you want to be like, that you emulate, that you respect, that are going places and doing things that you want to do. And ideally have that mentor, that peer, and that mentee that you can, leverage all those different angles of how do I want to get better myself.
Yeah. No, I love it, man. I heard it loud and clear. I wrote it down. The three relationships, tiers of relationships. Have someone above you, someone on a higher level, someone that can keep you reaching and looking forward and looking for that North Star and going towards. Have somebody like on your level, your peer. I love how you said that healthy competitiveness, like that. I love that. And then someone that you can mentor, that you can give back to, someone that you can help teach. And like you said, like that kind of refines you when you have to teach what you know. And what I love about you, you're talking about doing it on an authentic level, like, not, being shisty or like punching down at nobody. Like, no, authentically, I want to help you be better. And so I love everything you talk about, Dalton. This has been absolutely, absolutely wonderful, man. Listen, before we wrap, if someone wanted to reach out to you, connect with you, maybe collaborate and learn more about what you're doing, how can they reach out to you, sir?
I'm not the biggest social media guy. Unfortunately, I know that's the easy one. I mean, you can find me on there. I don't know if there's a way for you to post my name on there, but I do have an Instagram. I do have a Facebook. So we can certainly post that if that's helpful. If you want to read it off, I can.
Yep. Yeah. If you don't mind, read it off, because I'm gonna let my tech go ahead and post it once they hear it. So if you don't mind, man, go ahead if you can. Yeah.
Yeah. Let me see if I can find it.
you sound like me, bro. I'm the same way.
Yeah, this is how you know I'm getting old. So it's just my name separated by a period. Dalton, DALTON Riggins, RIGGINS. That's on Instagram.
Go.
We'll do that one.
I love it, man. Well, listen, there he is, Mr. Dalton Riggins. Sir, thank you, man. You have given us valuable information. So I thank you for your time. I thank you for your story. Thank you for your perspective. It was a pleasure having you today, sir.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So listen, y'all got it. Y'all got the value. You're here. So go ahead and subscribe. That way you get the alert and you know when these valuable conversations are happening. And so, Dalton, I thank you, man. And to everyone else, we will see you on the next time.
Thanks for joining us for today's Real Estate Pros Show. You can learn more about the amazing benefits of the Investor Fuel Mastermind community, including surrounding yourself with hundreds of other rock stars, 100% financing for your deals, and members-only discounts from vendors you're likely already using that, as a member of Investor Fuel, will save you more than the cost of your membership. Visit investorfuel.com to learn more. If you're interested in joining us as a guest of this show, please visit investorfuel.com/pros to apply. You can also check the show notes for access to free resources, how to get access to world-class lead generation, and much more. Don't forget to subscribe so you never miss another episode. Have a great day. We'll see you on the next show.